Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back. So, I'm sure some of you have noticed recently that Bitcoin has been making a comeback. Yes, so Bitcoin is about to break its all-time high. So it just broke 60,000 US dollars, and all-time high was around 64,000. And I hate to brag, but if you just give me 30 seconds to say I told you so, well, I told you so. I told you so back on New Year's Day of this year, where I uploaded a video called Why Bitcoin is the Next 20x Opportunity. And okay, well, it hasn't done a 20x, but it has done a decent 3x since then already. And long term, I do believe that it will do a 20x. From where it was in January, which was around 20,000 US dollars. So if you do the math, a 20x will put it at around 400,000 US dollars. But let's not think that far for now. Long term, as I said, I do believe that it will, but that's more like a 5 to 10 year time horizon. I don't think it will hit 400,000 anytime soon. However, I do believe that Bitcoin is on track to hit 100,000 US dollars by the end of the year. And if you want to hear the reasons, well, stick around and I'll tell you. A reminder, by the way, if you're in Canada, I do have some referral links down below for some great options for you to buy Bitcoin and other cryptos as well. And yeah, they're all down there in the description. Namely, those are Coinbase, ShakePay, Newton, and Wealthsimple Trade. So I have all of those, and I have referral links for all of those. So they all work pretty great. They all have their own pros and cons. I do recommend having more than one exchange ready to go, though. Because if you've been involved in crypto in any amount of time, you would know that during periods of mass volatilities, exchanges have been known to go down. So if you want to make a trade quickly, it is helpful to have multiple exchanges and multiple accounts ready to go. Anyways, also as a disclaimer, nothing in this video is financial advice, okay? So Bitcoin as well as crypto in general tend to be extremely volatile. So please do your own research before you decide to invest. And everything I'm going to share in this video is just simply my opinion. So don't just listen to some guy on YouTube, guys. Please do your own research and be sure when you're investing that you're only investing what you're willing to lose. Okay, so anyways, here is why I think that Bitcoin is going to go to $100,000 US dollars before the end of the year. So first reason, it looks like that the US is getting ready to approve the first ever Bitcoin futures ETF. And yes, I know folks here in Canada and parts of Europe have had Bitcoin ETFs for a really long time, but this is the first time that the US is doing it, and the US is where all the money is. So it's a much bigger deal for a Bitcoin ETF to be approved in the US. Granted, this is a futures ETF and not a spot ETF. So for those of you who don't know what that means and what the difference is, a spot ETF is basically you own Bitcoin directly, or the fund has Bitcoin underneath it, right? And the shares are traded that are backed by the Bitcoin itself. But a futures ETF is all based off of futures contracts. So a futures contract is a financial instrument that obligates the holder to buy a certain amount of a commodity, in this case Bitcoin, at a certain price on a certain date. So these futures contracts do not require anybody to actually hold actual Bitcoin, which is why people are saying that a spot ETF would be much, much better. However, a futures ETF is still way better than nothing. And I think that this is going to attract a lot of investors into this space. And for this reason, I think that this is the main reason, actually. That's why Bitcoin was able to smash that 60K per coin barrier like it was nothing. So in more detail, this ETF is called the ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF, ticker symbol BITO, sorry. And it will most likely begin trading on the stock exchange, on the New York Stock Exchange this upcoming Tuesday, October 19th. And to the retail investor, to people like you and me, this might not seem like a big deal, right? I know a lot of you are probably thinking, oh, why would I buy this? Why would I not just buy actual Bitcoin? Well, again, this product is not really meant for you. It's meant for institutions. I mean, if you can buy it if you want, but it's really meant for the big companies and stuff. So the reason why institutions prefer ETFs is because of the regulatory framework. Right, so it's a regulated product. If they buy actual BTC, then there's a lot more regulatory stuff that they have to deal with, and it's really inconvenient for most companies unless you really believe in Bitcoin. But having an ETF would allow institutions who are even slightly interested in Bitcoin to actually dip their toes into Bitcoin, and I think this will be huge because we're talking about billions and billions of dollars. Because keep in mind, once again, these are institutions and they have access to massive amounts of capital. And I think that the SEC is going to let this futures ETF trade for a while to see where it goes and to see how it is. And my prediction is that they will probably allow a spot ETF to start trading sometime in 2022. And all in all, I think this is a huge boost for Bitcoin and the crypto space in general, because when Bitcoin moves, it's going to drag everything up with it, right? Because Bitcoin is the king. Even if you don't like Bitcoin, or if you think that some other crypto is better, you can't deny Bitcoin's position, right? When Bitcoin moves up, it's going to drag up everything else with it. And when Bitcoin moves down, it drags everything down with it as well, right? So another important aspect of this is that it's going to legitimize Bitcoin in the eyes of many people in the traditional finance industry. Having an ETF signifies that this is a legit asset class now. And I think a lot of people, especially people from the older generation, still kind of view Bitcoin as this like magic internet money that nerds and kids trade around on the internet. Well, I think that's going to change. So that's number one reason why I think that Bitcoin will go a lot higher. And as to why 100K specifically before the end of the year, if anything, I'm being a little bit conservative on this one actually. So the creator of the stock to flow model, Plan B, put out a prediction back in June, and he was a lot more bullish than me. Okay, so the stock to flow, by the way, if you don't know what that is, it measures the supply of Bitcoin against the new issuance rate. So in simpler terms, it just measures the supply of Bitcoin and how much supply there is out there versus the new amount of Bitcoin that's being mined. You can actually use stock to flow for other assets. Usually is used for scarce asset, like you can use it for gold and other precious metals, but it works better with Bitcoin because the amount of Bitcoin being mined is algorithmically determined by the Bitcoin protocol. So the new issuance rate is completely known versus with gold, you don't know how much gold is being mined out of the ground every year. And also if the price goes up, then they could always mine more gold from the ground, right? So with Bitcoin, it actually works a lot better when you apply the stock to flow model on it. And as you can see, the Bitcoin price has been tracking the stock to flow predicted price very slowly. And those jumps you see in the stock to flow line is because the block reward halves every 4 years. So that's another feature of Bitcoin where the amount of new Bitcoin being mined is halved every 4 years. So roughly, it doesn't have to be exact. So right now we're at 6.25 Bitcoin per every block mined. So the person who made this model, Plan B, put out a prediction back in June of what he's expecting Bitcoin's price to be for August all the way up until the end of the year. So far he's been right for August and September, which is a really good sign. And also he's on track to be right again for October. And as you can see, he's predicting the price to be 135,000 US dollars by December, which is absolutely nuts. It would be crazy if it actually hits that. We're going to celebrate really hard if it actually hits 135K. Before you think I'm smoking a lot of hopium, let me just show you what happened to the price of gold when a gold ETF was approved. Now, granted, that was over a much longer period of time, and this was a spot ETF as opposed to a futures ETF, but I assume that the adoption rate for Bitcoin is going to be much faster compared to gold. Maybe Bitcoin will perform similarly, even though it is over a shorter period of time and it is just a futures ETF. My point is that how many people you know own gold and how many people you know own crypto. All right. So if you were to ask me, all of my friends, I think none of them own gold as far as I'm aware, but most of them, I think, at least have some crypto, right? So I think that this trend of people moving away from gold and moving into crypto, that's not going to slow down anytime soon. And last thing I want to bring up is the search trends for Bitcoin. So the Google search trends. So you can see that we had a huge spike earlier in the year, but then it kind of died down. And recently, maybe it's been taking up again very slowly, but not really. So I think that this just goes to show that despite Bitcoin nearing all-time highs, there isn't that much retail FOMO just yet. And there certainly is not as much retail FOMO right now as there was from the initial run up to the 64K mark. And I think that once we break the 64K mark, that's when retail FOMO will really kick in like that, right? So it's going to be clear skies ahead once we break the new all-time high, because then that means that everyone who bought Bitcoin will be in profit. And then that's when you'll have like your aunts and your uncles and your like cousins asking you, how do I buy Bitcoin? How do I buy Bitcoin? That's going to happen, right? Just watch. So that will happen very quickly as well once that breaks, right? So not financial advice, by the way. This is just my opinion. I could be wrong, but this is just my 2 cents, or rather my 2 Satoshis, I should say. Personally, I have my Tesla bottle ready to go, so I'm not sure if you can see it. It's up there. Let me just grab it and show you, and hopefully not break anything. So as you can see, I filled it with sweet Kentucky bourbon. And yeah, we'll see. We'll have a celebration once Bitcoin hits 100K. I'll break that, not break it, but like crack it open and pour a glass. And yeah, we'll have a video, and I'll make a video about it and upload it on YouTube, and we can celebrate together. Anyways, I'll leave the video here. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you like the series. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links down below in the description as always. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.